All right, looks like we are live and on the air on YouTube and Twitch. So welcome everyone to the Foolish Tech Show. It is a lovely Monday morning here, and we're mainly here to provide you support and answer any questions about our products and services. If you do have any of those, feel free to jump over to our IRC chat, which you can find a couple ways to get on at foolishtechshow.com, as well as be able to watch the stream from there. Be more than happy to talk with you about any of our products or services, answer any questions, do demos, various things like that. Otherwise, we'll fill the air with random shop talk, and feel free to join in on that as well from our IRC chat. So, no reason to even ask how everyone's doing today, because they're all doing sick and coughing and fun stuff. So,
Yeah, I'll try to keep my mic muted as much as possible, but you sound better though, Brantley. I'm glad you're not feeling as bad as we are.
yeah, I've already had my season change sickness, so hopefully that'll be it.
Tank sounds more like the flu, but yes, this weather changing is really bad.
Yeah, so let's see what we got out here today.
Faces.
Oh, we did have a updated release of Crypto Prevent come out. Version 8.0.2.3, and it has a updated fix for some people who had some registration issues when changing regional settings. So that should be all fixed up, and going forward should be fine. So yeah, let us know if you have any problems or things going on with that. And let's see if we got any good tech news out here.
Good.
Michael, I don't remember from the last week. Did you ever talk about the Tinker board?
No, is this the one from Asus? I wanted to mention it if you, yeah.
It is, and they're packing almost twice the power in them, but it does go for twice the price. However, it does have the ability to play 4K video and 24-bit audio.
Yeah, I noted the expense. Excuse me, I noted the expense was higher, but I saw just like what you saw. It seems like it might be a really good media box, and I also like that they stuck very close to the Pi form factor. Some other devices have kind of strayed away from that, and I'm glad to see that that's the case. And they also have gigabit Ethernet, I
Yeah,
believe. Still, it's not feature-wise, it's not years above it, but one of the other big things is that it supports OpenGL, a higher level of OpenGL, and I think OpenCL, um, meaning that some maybe bigger, better games or acceleration or video-related stuff could be done with it versus some other boards.
yeah, and 2 gigs of RAM on it too. If that picture is one of them, I mean, it looks like almost the exact same design as Raspberry Pi. I think possibly like the biggest difference is they put one of the chips further towards the back instead of the front. Let's see if I can pull mine out real quick and double check that. Yeah, so it looks like the smaller chips are in the back, where on the Pi the bigger chip is towards the back, but otherwise pretty much the exact same design as far as the ports go. So That is nice that you'll be able to fit it in all the cases. People have to ask, is that a Tinker board or a Raspberry Pi? None of mine are used for media streaming or anything that would really require the extra power, so I'm probably not looking at getting one, especially for they're running at $68 for just the board, and I'm wondering how their power stuff goes. Asus came out with it though, so they're fairly decent at making hardware. I really enjoy their routers. That's a possibility. Maybe their routers will start being these, just running a straight open WRT. Hint, hint, Asus. Try to do that. Let's see what else we got though. Either way, it'll be interesting to see where it comes in at. So it looks like last night, I think it was last night, 22nd, yeah. Last night, it looks like all of United Airlines domestic flights were grounded for 2 hours because of a computer outage. The robots are finally starting to pick their fight with the world, albeit slowly but surely. I didn't read exactly what the issue was, if they actually gave you any details. Doesn't look like this one did. Let's see if there is any more here. Nope. They didn't want to tell you anything about it. But maybe it was a forced reboot from a Patch Tuesday that they deferred. Michael, I thought you might be interested in this, and you might already read about it too. The Galileo Satellites that the European Space Agency is putting up has had, I think, 4 out of the 18 satellites already in navigation have their atomic clocks just stop working. And Galileo constellation is basically their answer to GPS, which is supposed to be accurate down to the meter once it's fully completed, but they've been scheduled to be completed since 2008, and they've been plagued with all kinds of delays such as this. So.
Well, I mean, it's already up there. It's not going to be launched. I mean, a lot of it's I think it's already up there. But the biggest thing that I thought was interesting about this is that they're unsure why it's happening, and it seems to be happening to a multitude of devices. And in some cases, they've apparently been able to restart the atomic clocks on them. So I think some more investigation needs to go into this. It might be some event that occurred, that affected all of those satellites. It could be something, else. It could be a design flaw, but it's certainly not good. But each one of those satellites apparently has something like 4 atomic clocks in it, so there's some resiliency, some redundancy, but it's still obviously not good.
Yeah. So yeah, it's between the rubidium atomic clocks and the passive hydrogen master variants. They did restart one of the hydrogen devices and it went fine, but each satellite has 4 clocks and none of them have more than 2 broken devices on it. So everything still works, but I was saying that they were supposed to be fully up and running like done with their 24 satellites and 6 spare satellites on top of that. So I believe a total of 30 satellites. And currently they only have 18 of those up. Although they were planning to launch some more. If they don't figure out what's going on with the clocks, they're going to have to push back their August launch date.
That's expensive. I'm sure cost is probably the main reason why the delays are happening.
Yeah.
And now they got to figure out what's going on so that it doesn't, continue to happen, obviously. So this could slow down their ability to take advantage of that extra resolution.
I was saying I thought I had read somewhere that down to the meter range is the accuracy they were promising. So a little bit better than our GPS system right now. And the shopping day for love is getting ready to come right around the corner, and I thought this article or this graph was interesting, almost from a pure supply and demand look. You can see the prices of flowers throughout the year, and of course, as you approach February 14th, the prices hike almost 30%, 40% almost. I guess that's 30, maybe 20. Looks like they average about 35 and goes up to about $50 right around Valentine's Day. So what I thought was the most interesting about that, though, was not necessarily the price hike there, but more the huge dip in August. Apparently, nobody gets flowers in August. And then they have a slight rise at the end of April. So April showers bringing May flowers, I guess. People buy a bunch of flowers then. I just thought it was kind of interesting. I always liked seeing the actual supply and demand thing leveled out, and having something like this to be able to see it clearly is pretty nice.
Oh, excuse me. Remember when we were traveling and Johnny needed to transfer some money or something like that? Was it Western Union that was being used?
Possibly.
Do you know? I'm looking at a story here about them receiving a $586 million fine, and that they admitted to aiding and abetting wire fraud. So I'll post this one here. Let's see. Oops.
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't have enough time to look into it, but I mean, are they really the ones to blame?
So they're not committing the fraud, but they weren't. They apparently in a large number of instances had evidence to know that it was that there was a crime being committed, and they didn't do anything about it. Yeah.
So they could make their dollar bill off of it.
Because they do profit from those transactions, regardless of whether or not they're legal.
Hey, so we had a big discussion on the very end of the show about the IT administrator that got fired and was demanding $200,000 for the password, essentially, to the Google account that ran all the school's stuff. Well, apparently the college successfully sued the IT admin, so the courts ruled in favor of the college for that.
It's a tool. It's a tool of the job, and he took it home and wouldn't give it back. That's what I was saying.
The IT administrator was ordered to pay damages of $248,000. So
Wow.
Yeah, he got kicked in the butt and then added a little bit to it. So
That's more than he was asking for.
yeah. The college was actually asking for $500,000 in damages.
Mm.
So I mean, it's like they take lawsuits and just say, let's ask for 3 times what we would want, and then we'll be happy when they give us way less than what they're going to give us.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh-oh. Take my meds this morning. Oops. Dang, that busy, huh?
yeah, I was just reading over a little bit more details on it, and apparently he says the school intentionally filed the lawsuit in Indiana knowing he couldn't attend the hearings, which he eventually lost, and a default judgment was issued. So he wasn't even actually able to present his case and such fairly.
He coulda.
I mean, from what I understand, he was based in Chicago and had reasons that he couldn't leave Chicago, which is why they.
He didn't need to go anywhere. He needs to pay the lawyer in the location where it is that they're going to court. That's what he needed.
He had just lost his job.
Well, but he had a lawyer somewhere else. Why couldn't he have paid the lawyer in the place where they were going to have the court?
That's true.
You know.
That's true. I don't know. Yeah,
the whole thing's fishy to me, but I still actually I agree with the judgment. I think the dude was wrong. So.
But it depends on if one of his accusations was true. If he did give the password back and then the school wiped it and lost it, I related that back to the tool of the broom analogy you gave him, where he gave him the broom back and they were like, we don't need this broom anymore. We just fired our janitor. Throw it in the fire. And then they're like, oh, wait, we
need a broom. You never gave us that broom.
Yeah, we need that broom back now. That I think, like, if that's the case, then yeah.
Well, if that's the case, then kinda, yeah. But the kinda part is still that the guy can still produce a broom exactly like it. I'm pretty sure he has the records. Which he does if he was able to give them what they wanted. So for a ransom, essentially. So.
Well, that's what I was saying. It wasn't clear if he was able to give them that, or if he would end up having to spend the time working with Google and getting them to reset the password, which they probably make you go through a few hoops and leaps and jumps and stuff. So that's where my thing was. Like, if he had the password and could just give it over to them, then I agree with that. But if he had to sit there and do stuff for an hour, I feel like he should have been compensated for a fair wage, not $200,000 in fair wage, but
probably not. No. But, and my point, and I didn't even make it on the show, is that if you take the same technician, and I met with y'all in chat afterwards, but just to be complete, if you took that same exact situation and the employee all of a sudden becomes a tech at a tech repair shop, who say is one of our customers, and we would be Google in this situation. I guess the real the difference here is that we agree with our tech customers, of course, that they bought it and it's theirs. So we'll work with our tech shop customers to fix the problem and remove the access from from the hands of the guy, the ex-employee. We'll of course do that, but Google's not us. So but my point is that of course we'll do that because we see that it's the right thing to do, and we know who the owner is of that software or that key or that password. So we'll try to make it right. Well, why do we do that? It's because we know who the owner is and who paid for it and who owns that, key, passwords, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's why we do it. It's so if you apply that same concept to this situation, which is really no different, just
And I mean, in that situation, though, it would be that we would actually be siding with the tech, and basically the tech could cancel their. So, like in this situation, essentially, what I understand, there are not a lot of very high details on the whole situation, but from what I gather, the Google account was registered in his name, alone, and I'm not sure how the checks were being paid. That would all play into us deciding whether it was or not, too.
That's true.
From the email address that registered it, for us to believe that that was the person that did it. So
that's true, but at the same time, we do have a number of customers of D7 2 subscribers who have had like their, where it's the store paying for it, but had like the lead IT guy, do the purchase and everything else. So it's all under his, even now, granted, the email address is almost always the same domain.
Yeah.
So that's a good starting point for us to track them down.
But like, that's also probably part of, Michael, the chat's not on the video stream anymore, but that's also probably part of the reason why we don't store reports or customer data or anything like that on our servers, is because if that situation happened, most likely the shop would only be out of their configuration and definitions, and they'd just have to recreate them. So
but we do recommend at least until additional measures are implemented for management of removing essentially employee licenses with D7X. At least in the meantime, most definitely recommend in this situation to change your technician password, and you can contact us. We'll change the account password as well. You fire someone. So
correct. So you have two routes to. You probably want to take both of them. Definitely change your technician password in D7.2, which is what protects all your configs on the server, and then change your
dcloud,
which if you contact us, we'll handle that side for you. But if you're not using the our server for it, you also want to change your own FTP server's password.
Correct. Yeah.
But you probably want to do all three of those in those situations. And usually you want to change most all the passwords so that employee had access to. I just thought I'd bring that up so that we could get a rounded out situation from that. I did think it was kind of strange. Maybe it wasn't like maybe the stuff was already in courts when it went viral, but to have a judgment 3 days later after that, that's kind of interesting.
Well, I think they kind of saw it as black and white as it really should be.
Yeah. Well, moving on from that, I thought this was interesting. GHacks did a review on the Intel driver update utility, and it reminded me that I haven't checked for updated Intel drivers in quite some time, and it looks like they have kind of refreshed that tool fairly well since I last used it as well.
Intel driver update tool?
Yeah, so it looks like it does all of their driver stuff. Graphics drivers, audio drivers for Intel desktop boards, wireless networking drivers, wired networking drivers, chipset INFs, NUC drivers, compute stick.
You just said all the drivers. That's okay. That's the one on the website where it does a little Java and all thing.
No, this looks like it's a standalone utility.
Oh, well, that'd be better because
Yeah.
I hate that website thing.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the website scanning computer.
Let me install a browser extension instead of just running a proper app so I can do this. Yeah, let's do that. Let's just add more junk to the browser. Why don't we?
I don't have the link, by the way, but if you did install that Adobe extension that kind of just got snuck into one of their updates, it did end up turning to be highly insecure. So remove it now if you did.
What is it?
So it's an Adobe Chrome extension that would have gotten installed if you have the latest version of Acrobat Reader installed, Acrobat or Acrobat Reader. And
So is it a Chrome update or the Adobe update that does that?
it's the Adobe update that adds it, and then Chrome, thankfully, gives you this nice big warning whenever you start Chrome that says, "Hey, a new extension is trying to be added. Do you really want to add this?"
Yeah, I just didn't know if they were taking some proactive steps to have their Adobe updater kind of sit and wait for like Chrome updates and go, oh, they have the Chrome that can work with our extension. Let's throw it in there. You know, I didn't know if it was something like that.
I was kind of curious to that as well. Like, is there the ability to just install Chrome extensions without having to have Chrome even running at the time, or?
Oh, no, I didn't want to think about it. Well, yeah, there is. Yeah, you can do that. You can do that with direct registry entries. It's not. I don't remember the ins and outs of the process there, but there is a way to install any Chrome extension just by adding a registry key and putting some files there. But it doesn't. There's like different installation types for single user and all user, and that's like a developer way or something that doesn't do something or does something. I'm not sure, but it's not like safe, I guess, to use that method, but it can be done. And then there's another way with Chrome itself, and I forget that you can automate. I looked into all this a while back, but
so it was actually GHacks that did the review on that as well, and looks like the extension phones home with telemetry data, and it introduced a serious security vulnerability that users could fall victim to. Adobe did patch the vulnerability quickly after it was notified by Google of its existence. So again, my part was that, man, are you really just, why do you need an extension? I don't understand that.
well, actually, I have the extension installed, but it's not enabled. So obviously this happened to me, and I was just like, no, go away, you know. But and I guess I just forgot. But it says it converts the current web page to an Adobe PDF file. So I guess it's just a different way to print the PDF for web pages only, maybe.
I prefer the standalone freeware app print to PDF. Is it?
Yeah. Well, and you know, well, that's part of Chrome or part of Windows or something.
Yeah, but
PDF
Chrome
print
added it to it. And,
yeah, Chrome's natively able to do that, and then Windows 10 has and I think 8 as well had the Microsoft print to PDF.
Yeah.
So essentially, this looks like print to PDF, I guess, unless it enables you to do anything special that the others don't, because the others essentially make a graphic image file and, you know, call it a PDF and in the PDF format. But, you know, you were talking about who needs Adobe Reader anyway. And I was talking about all of the things,
the extra things it does.
That it does that you would never even see. And like you could view the PDF in like the web browser or whatever, but you would never see like the annotations and the comments and the ability to reply and other things like that to the author that don't exist unless you use Adobe Reader. And I can see that stuff as being important.
Well, one of the
this is an input field. This is, this is a, but I guess not in this case. It would be kind of nice to create a web page that you could take the elements of the page and make them elements of a functional PDF, not just an image, but you know what I'm saying?
That would be nice, yeah.
If the extension did that or enabled you to do that, I can totally see it. I would probably, in fact, use it. But I guess wouldn't you have? But it would seem to me you would have to have Adobe Acrobat paid.
Yeah, you'd have
to do that. So I don't see why they're free. There's no point.
It was CutePDF that was my favorite go-to.
Yeah, I used to use that one.
What were you gonna say, Proctor, about that?
Oh, one of the things that I don't like about the Chrome PDF viewer is that you're not able to select and copy text out of it. You can do that with Adobe Reader.
Yeah, I am not a big fan of PDF in general myself, so it does make things easier at certain times, but honestly, it's more of a problem than it is a solution in my eyes.
Really? Well, you know what? I like PDFs, but it's almost a solution without a problem. I really like PDFs that, I mean, I like the idea of them, and not like like the document that you can add security to, and you can selectively allow users to change parts of it and all of that stuff. Of course, you can do it with Office documents too. It's just, well, Office documents are so clumsy, and you don't like,
That's true. I think my bigger issue with it is the proprietariness of it. Like, if you do want to write your own PDF and have all those features and things added in it, you essentially
should be a universal format.
Yeah, you essentially end up having to go to Acrobat standard to get those real abilities. Otherwise, if you try going with alternative software, it's going to be either extremely complicated to work with or difficult to actually utilize properly, and they all end up being expensive. Like, Adobe Acrobat is expensive freaking software.
It's very expensive, and I've never created a PDF that I could do cool stuff with, but I've seen the fact that I could do it, and I always thought, well, that would be really cool if I needed to do that. And I've always appreciated working with documents from accountants and things that use that. But beyond that, I mean, I don't know. It is proprietary. It does kind of suck. It carries the name Adobe, but yeah, I don't know. I like the concept of them. I just have no need for them, really.
Yeah, so the Pro subscription is $14.99 a month. The standard is $12.99 a month, and for
a month.
Yeah, a month.
Yeah, Adobe's licensing is all subscription, and I'm not sure if it's all monthly or annual.
Wow, didn't used to be.
Those were
used to be $300 or $400. Bought you Acrobat or something.
It does say those are annual subscriptions, but they do give you an option for monthly, which turns the prices into $24 a month or $22 a month, respectively, between the standard. And that's what I'm saying. They almost rip you off.
If you use it a lot, I can totally see it. But if your business doesn't require the use of an interactive secure document, then there's no point.
Yeah, and see, comparative that to Office 365, which gives you 5 PCs or 5 places that you can run Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, OneNote, and more from, and get a terabyte of cloud storage and ongoing updates for $9.99 per month.
And with a lot of the same document features, and a lot more on top of that.
Yeah, so that's where my issue really comes in.
Yeah.
With PDFing, that it's extremely proprietary, and they make it.
You could even use the Microsoft documents with an open source format too.
Yeah. So
imagine that.
Yeah, that's kind of, I feel that's where my my issue with it comes in with the true proprietary nature of PDF. Like they claim it as like a cross-platform, everybody gets it for free, wonderful document thing, but it ain't that.
Everybody gets to see it for free, but everybody doesn't get to use it for free.
Yeah, and that's why most all of those printers that print the PDF are, like you said, where it's just an image that shows up on a PDF.
Well, originally the PDF, that's exactly what PDFs were designed for. Portable document format was supposed to be a format that printers could interpret a lot easier with smaller file sizes than say a bunch of documents or a larger image of the same document. Like if it's just printing an image, it's got all the image, but the PDF has all of these elements that all of the printers already understand and things like that. So that's like a large part of why PDF is even here, I believe. But
yeah. Glenn points out the Adobe Creative Cloud. Trying to see what that has in it. I'd heard of that previously. That gives you access to Photoshop and Lightroom for their photography one. Single app of your choice, Photoshop or Illustrator. All apps are $49 a month, and that includes 20 plus creative. I think those are all for all that's the photo editing side of them, which
yeah,
I'm not very fond of their setup and situation with that.
not fond of their anything really, but
yeah. I thought this was pretty interesting on a completely other topic. Speaking of robots taking over the world and shutting down airlines, they have now successfully performed a operation inside the human eye with tiny robots, nicknamed R2D2 for robotic retinal dissection device. It is inserted into the eye through a tiny incision for lifting the wrinkled membrane no more than 1/100th of a millimeter thick from the retina and reversing Beaver's vision problems. Oh, Beaver is the patient that had it done. Yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool. Tiny robots. That's what we need instead of kill switches, a size limitation on robots. Robots like revolt and storm, and we just go out there and stomp on them like ants. Dig that, robots. Well, we talked about the Asus variant of Pi, and we hopefully everyone knows we're fairly big fans of Pi and Arduino and little projects that you can do with those.
I have a feeling they know.
Yeah. There is a Michael just messages me saying robotic insects sound dangerous. There is a Black Mirror episode about the robotic bees that get hacked and start killing people on a top 10 list. But anyway, this app, Blink, makes creating mobile apps to power your Arduino or Raspberry Pi project easy from your phone. So that was pretty cool. If you want to make your devices, your apps public or use it on a bunch of different devices, the service ends up costing you money, but you can check it out for free. Thought that was pretty neat. Oh, Glenn, if you're still around, Did you hear about this? Apparently, Australia is planning to replace passports with biometric tech, because that seems like a great thing that's already ready for it right now. And this would be replacing your standard paper ID with technology that recognizes faces, irises, and or fingerprints. You'll note that fingerprints are now extremely vulnerable if you've ever had your picture taken with your palm side showing, because fingerprints can be lifted from a photo up to 6 meters away, which many people probably have photos of them waving or putting up the peace sign, and essentially they can get highly accurate fingerprint data pulled from those pictures, and then it's fairly easy to make a fake fingerprint at that point. Recognizing faces, we already know how bad off that technology is. I would probably say one of the forefront runners of that technology is Facebook, and they pick out photos that are wrong all the time. And then irises, I'm not sure how well that travels, but usually with biometric tech, you kind of need like all three of those plus something else to really make it secure. Like, you can't just rely on the biometric tech, I feel, because it's fairly easy to copy all of that stuff, I think, especially if you believe in the Mission Impossible world where they have masks that can mold to faces and stuff like that, which is a possibility. I think masks are pretty advanced nowadays. Well, speaking of the robot revolution, Terminator might be coming back again, and this would be in 2019 when the original James Cameron, who wrote and directed the first two films, regains the rights. And apparently he's working with the Deadpool director Tim Miller on a brand new film for that 2019 rights regainal process. That might be interesting. I didn't have that big a problem with all of the Terminators, but definitely believe that the second one was by far the best one, Judgment Day, and then the first one would probably be my second one after that. Then I would probably follow it with Genesis and then the other ones. But yeah, Glenn, you're right. Anything 100% secure is unrealistic. And I guess it is a lot harder than probably copying our stuff, which is based on RFID technology. So tons of stuff out there that can break it. But yeah, I'm excited for a James Cameron Terminator. That'd be awesome. And I thought Deadpool was an awesome movie. It even like won Academy Awards and stuff, I think, too, didn't it?
No clue. Didn't see it.
Oh, it was an awesome movie. I believe it's the first comic book movie that's rated R. So
yeah, I know.
It makes it actually worth it. That's why you didn't get to go with the kids. So, yeah.
Right. Because we didn't watch, even though now it's official, every last one of our kids has watched the movie with their other parents from previous marriages. So, because none of them care.
Really? Wyatt watched that?
Yeah.
Oh,
Barely 8 years old. Watched it with his mom.
Yeah, that is not a film you watch with your mom. A, B. Yeah, that film was definitely not rated. I mean, it didn't have sex scenes, I guess. So it didn't have nudity, really. I guess.
Hey, I messed up too. I did mess up, but it was by accident. You ought to know better. with that movie. If you haven't seen the trailer, you ought to know better.
Yeah, it was.
Now, but mentioning sex scene, I did mess up with Wyatt. Jay and I watched Howard the Duck. Speaking of comic book movies, with him from the '80s.
Yeah, that's definitely not one that you do either.
Well, I didn't really. I remembered there were some kind of racy parts to it, but I also remembered that they were ducks,
Yeah.
in the beginning of the movie. So, but I really didn't think they would zoom in on that naked duck chick in the bathtub's rack for like 5 minutes. And to just go over that go back and back and back and back and back to that, and I'm like, what? And then and I completely forgot the part in the middle about the grimy little Amsterdam red light district kind of place that with the sludge pool and the sex in there. I forgot all about that. We ended up covering his eyes a bunch of times, but it was overall it was all right. But that was an accident. At least I didn't take him intentionally to see Deadpool.
Well, thanks for reminding me about that on Howard the Duck. I'll make sure not to show that to Hannah and Matthew.
I've been wanting to so much because that's such a movie for kids, minus a couple of parts like that, and I was like, dang.
Michael pointed out to me in the chat that he says that no way Deadpool won an Academy Award, not even nominated, not saying it wasn't that good, but it wasn't that, not saying it wasn't good, but it wasn't that good. And Michael, you would actually be wrong because it was nominated for Best Picture award at the Golden Globes.
Golden Globes isn't an Academy Award.
Well, that's still something.
It's an award. Who cares what Academy? What is an Academy anyway? It's
what do you consider Academy Awards?
Making a paycheck.
I don't remember anything that says it's an Academy Award show. Like,
is there an Academy for awards?
It has won a lot of other awards, but it did only get it actually got nominations at the Golden Globes for Best Motion Picture and Best Performance. I'm looking up what Academy Award is.
Yeah, the Academy Awards or Oscars is an annual American awards ceremony hosted by the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences to recognize
just the Oscars
achievements in the United States.
Okay, so there is an Academy.
I'm glad I wasn't muted. In a second, I thought I was muted while I was reading all that.
Well, their Academy sucks because they are stupid anyway. They have been for years. Oscars, just giving stupid awards and boosting people for no reason, just for doing nothing. Y'all suck.
Let's see.
You're mostly wrong about what you're doing anyway. Whatever. Everything that wins an award sucks. Everything that's not even nominated is great. That's just how it rolls anyway. That's how it's always been.
Yeah, I haven't even heard of these movies that are nominations for this year's.
That's because they're horrible. That's because they're horrible, and the only reason why you'll ever hear about anything like that is because of the Academy Awards.
Listen to the front runners of this and tell me if any of y'all have heard of these. Manchester by the Sea, Moonlight, La La Land. I have heard of Arrival, Lion, Hidden Figures.
Nope.
None of those.
I haven't heard of any. You said you heard of Arrival. I hadn't heard of that.
Yeah, Arrival's the only one I've heard of.
Yeah.
I don't watch TV, so that's not surprising. But
Michael said he's heard of all of them, and they are good movies. I thought
I will definitely take your word, Michael, for not thinking that they're good movies. Like if you ever tell me now something is a good movie, I will not believe you ever.
I saw Arrival and I did not think that was a good movie. It was not a good movie at all.
Well, if Michael's taste in movies is on that list, then I'm sorry, Michael. You just can't ever talk about movies.
But the Oscars have been known for their. Isn't it the Oscars that have the issue with the racism thing?
Hmm?
So there's arguments that it's too whitewashed at the Oscars. Typically, that's a big argument that goes around every year because there's very few nominations and fewer wins by African American actors and actresses.
Sure. Well, sure, but as long as they're making stuff up and pretending, oh, hey, how much money you got? Oh, that one, that's a good movie because of the money you got. Well, let's go ahead and pimp that. I don't think as long as we're making it up, let's just make up some more movies that we'll pretend to be are good, so we can fill a quarter.
Hidden Figures was that story about the African American women behind NASA thing. I could see that as being a good story, and Farley says he watched it and it was good. But was it as good as Deadpool? I mean, that's the real debate here. Was any of those as good as Deadpool? And I'm gonna go ahead and say no.
I haven't seen Deadpool. I don't even really care to see Deadpool, but I'm pretty sure it's better than anything on that list.
Deadpool was awesome. Ryan Reynolds did an amazing job at it.
Yeah, Wyatt tells me it was. Laura, I can't believe I married that.
So I thought this was a pretty interesting YouTube video that I came across. I'm very interested in locks and lock picking, and you would be incredibly surprised at how insecure your deadbolt doors are and your padlocks are.
I don't think anyone would really be surprised.
I think a lot of people still would be, like, because Master Lock is still the most popular lock brand if you go into any hardware store, and they're like by far the easiest to pick. Like, we have a Master Lock on my shed. It took me less time to pick that than it did the clear padlock where I could see the pins and stuff. Like, I barely even had to scrape it once to pop it open. It's like, wow.
Well, I would say that at least the mechanisms in a Master Lock are better than what you would have in some generic no-name from the dollar store lock. But actually, with your skills, Brantley, I would be interested in the outcome of that, because I almost am thinking now that if the Master Lock is built well and built, but you know how it, the click is a good click, the key turn's got good spring action on it. You can just tell it's built well compared to some of the really cheap locks, right? Well, would a really cheap lock, I guess what I'm wondering is, would it be easier to pick a Master Lock just because it's built better? Not saying the design of it is better. I'm saying it's built better.
I will note that
than a crappy one that is like not, the parts don't fit together quite right.
I was going to note that an interesting thing to note is, if you want to make your locks harder to pick, don't replace them. Let them just be for a long time. If it's hard for you to unlock with a key, it's a lot harder to unlock picking it. My back door used to have two really old locks we didn't even have keys for, so we couldn't use the back door. And I tried picking those for over an hour, and I couldn't get them.
Nice.
But they were
I did get them. It just didn't turn right.
That's possible too. But as for the lock, the Master Lock thing, and like padlocks, stuff like that, it's not really the quality of the build so much. It's more the just the style that they use. And if you watch that video, it's really interesting to see. He shows off, I think, 9 or 10 locks that are really, really interesting lock designs. Like the way they have them made like I didn't even know some of those lock designs existed, let alone know how to pick them. He was able to pick a couple of them, and he sent one off to somebody else that picked it extremely easily where he wasn't. So there's various levels of lock picking skill, but really interesting designs behind that if you enjoy locks and understanding those kind of things and knowing how they work. But
I know I had to. The only lock I ever had to get into was it was a lock box, and it was gosh, I wish I could remember, and I had pictures somewhere too. But it was a lock box from, like, I would say ancient Japan, but it was. But my father-in-law, when he died from my first marriage, he died, and he among his personals were a lockbox that he had. It was a Japanese, something old, and because he had lived in Japan for a number of years when his dad was a Navy admiral or something. So he lived in Japan and Hawaii and a bunch of places, and he had a bunch of exotic things. And one of these things was that lockbox, and I had to, I don't know, Dremel tool will get into. I guess my point is that was an interesting lock design. Like, however it was made, I had never seen anything like it before, and it was harder to break into than other lock boxes I've seen in modern times by far.
Yeah.
But a Dremel tool did get it.
Yeah, there's always a way around a lock.
Yeah. A Dremel tool got it, and ended up, I never actually did bust a lock, or it was I had to.
In the end, you can just cut around the locking
side of the case. Well, it was actually the pin mechanism, that the lid spring on the back.
Mm-hmm.
I busted that from the other side with the Dremel tool.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way I got in, and then I had to bend the crap out of it too. But
well, something interesting I also found out from this video, which I was not aware of, is there's a different European style lock that actually locks twice. So when you turn the key, it extends we'll just use a deadbolt for an example. It extends the deadbolt, and then you can further turn the key, and it extends the deadbolt again. And in those situations, you actually have to pick the lock twice to be able to open it. So I thought that was interesting. I didn't know that there were a European style locking was double locked essentially in one lock, and you only have to use one key for it. The other interesting things that I hadn't seen is lock designs for. I'm extremely novice, so keep that in mind. I'm not a major lock picker, or lock artist, or locksmith, or any of that. But they had keys that had dimples on them. So instead of the rises like we're used to seeing on keys, these actually had indentations so that the pins dropped down towards it. And they had various levels of that. And they actually had ones that usually the dimple ones actually had dimples on all four sides. So two of them would be the same on opposing sides.
Right, yeah.
You had to have at least two of them unlocked and be able to turn it. And I thought that was pretty interesting feature as well. But yeah, I highly recommend that video.
The most interesting lock I think I've ever seen though was what was it called? The puzzle box from Hellraiser tank.
That is a good one.
Can you open that lock? Can you pick that one, I wonder?
Well, that was going to be my suggestion when you brought up that stuff. Go ahead, Tank, sorry.
I don't think you can pick that lock.
For some reason, I remember that required blood to get started, so I think there's a little bit more going on there.
No, it doesn't require blood to get started. That usually happens after you finish.
No, in the first one, I actually recently rewatched the first one, and for him to open it, he actually ended up slicing his finger while he was looking around trying to figure it out, and the blood got into it.
That was Uncle Frank. Everybody else that opened it never had to start off with blood.
Yeah, I don't know why that one was different, but that's the key point in that one for me, was that it did have to start off with blood in there.
Well, that was the Hellraiser, wasn't it?
Yeah.
himself.
No, he wasn't the Hellraiser.
I thought he was the guy that became the Hellraiser.
No, Pinhead came, and that was Pinhead's.
This message is for Michael. This is Michael with Hotline. I've got a computer waiting for you to remotely connect. It needs to be able to print. It can't print on the server computer. Give me a call on my cell when you get this message, 252-216-5257. Thank you.
Hell, and they had to get out of it.
In the mental hospital. Yeah.
Yeah, that one was good too.
That one was really good.
No, the second one was where they had the like 80s style and like the demon with the record head.
Yeah, that was the third one.
Was that third?
That was a third one, actually. The record head guy, I thought.
Well, anyway, there's some
CD head has.
I like them all, honestly, but the one where the girl went to hell, that one was really interesting to me, and then I really liked the first one. It's possible the audio dropped. Michael's doing the stream this morning, so anything could happen.
Maybe he opened the puzzle box.
We were
sitting here talking about it.
Yeah. Michael probably does have one of those sitting around. He was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot. I haven't even tried that. Blood. That was what I was missing."
I'm sorry about that. That was my fault. My apologies.
He wanted to experience extreme pleasure. All
right.
Style.
Well, on that, we have reached our hour time limit here, so we gotta get the week started, and we will be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. for our Tuesday show. Again, we are here mainly to provide support and answer any questions about our products and services. If you have any of those in the meantime, feel free to contact our support by the various methods we have on our site. Otherwise, if you want to talk to us directly, you can wait until tomorrow at 10. So thanks, Glenn and Farley, for joining us this morning. Much appreciated having you guys in the chat and participating. And hope you have a great start to your week. Glenn, I know you're in the future and have already started it, so hope it's going well so far for you.
And don't forget to participate in the pleasures of the flesh when you open the puzzle box. Highly recommended.
Yep. We will see you tomorrow. Michael, you can take us on out.